Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to our second event on Love Your Heart, Live Your Best, the Fearless 28-Day Kickstart to Plant-Based Eating. Tonight is going to be a good one. We have two speakers that are going to speak tonight. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but last week we had a wonderful session with Dr. Fareed Zarif, and we also have a Q&A, and I'll give you more information about that too. You don't want to miss that. That's on Sundays. So tonight we're going to have Phyllis Leon, and we're going to have Deepa Deshmukh. I might be saying that wrong, but please charge it to my head and not my heart. But we got some good information that you all are going to be able to have this evening. And so we want to thank everybody for getting on. We want to thank the Chicago Urban League, Healthy Living with a Vision, and ComEd, and all of our sponsors. So thank you. All right, so I'm going to turn it over briefly to Dr. James Thompson, our medical director. Hey, Dr. Thompson.
Okay, thank you, Chanel. Okay, welcome back. It's week two. And before we go any further, let me say this.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to our second event on Love Your Heart, Live Your Best, the Fearless 28-Day Kickstart to Plant-Based Eating. Tonight is going to be a good one. We have two speakers that are going to speak tonight. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but last week we had a wonderful session with Dr. Fareed Zarif, and we also have a Q&A, and I'll give you more information about that too. You don't want to miss that. That's on Sundays. So tonight we're going to have Phyllis Leon, and we're going to have Deepa Deshmukh. I might be saying that wrong, but please charge it to my head and not my heart. But we got some good information that you all are going to be able to have this evening. And so we want to thank everybody for getting on. We want to thank the Chicago Urban League, Healthy Living with a Vision, and ComEd, and all of our sponsors. So thank you. All right, so I'm going to turn it over briefly to Dr. James Thompson, our medical director. Hey, Dr. Thompson.
Okay, thank you, Chanel. Okay, welcome back. It's week two. And before we go any further, let me say this. If you're still here, you're doing something right. By now, you should have your fabulous 15 list, your personal lineup of whole, minimally processed plant foods. Not theoretical, not aspirational, but active, meaning they're showing up on your plate each night, starting over the last few days, at least more than you were eating before. Here's the win I want you to recognize. On average, you're eating 1 to 2 more plant foods per day than you were last week. That's the deal. That may not sound dramatic, but over time, it's powerful. This is how health changes actually happen, not with overnight perfection, but with repeatable upgrades. Now, here's your simple assignment looking ahead. Next week, add 1 to 2 more servings per day from your list. Any plant you like, any meal, any time of the day. I know we talked last week, Dr. Zarif, about the timing. We're just focusing on the content of what you're eating for now. And I want to be very clear. This becomes your first priority. Not cutting, not restricting, but adding. If you're eating out, this is still completely doable. You don't need to lecture at the table or have a special menu. Just double your side of broccoli, asparagus, carrot, or whatever veggies they have. Most restaurants are happy to do that, and your body will appreciate it later, even if your dinner companions don't. Now, I told you we were going to wait a couple of weeks before talking about what to avoid. That was intentional because addition builds momentum. Restriction without momentum usually builds resentment. But since we're gaining traction, it's time to gently introduce you to one evidence based truth. If you want to gain real ground in reducing cardiovascular and metabolic risk, reducing saturated fat and dietary cholesterol matters. Foods high in saturated fat include fried foods and many of the dairy products, especially the full fat dairy products that the current guidelines are backing as health food. We'll unpack that more later. But for now, just know The science did not suddenly change. So let's keep this simple and actionable. You're adding 1 to 2 more servings of healthy, minimally processed plant foods each day from your list for each week. So starting this weekend, you'll go up another 1 or 2. That's the headline. Everything else is background noise. Now, if you're thinking, that sounds great, but I don't know how to cook this stuff, I got you covered. I have 2 resources, which I'll put in the chat. And I trust these, I personally use them. First, there's Forks Over Knives app. It's well organized, beginner friendly, and gives you step by step cooking instructions. They also have a wonderful documentary on Netflix if you want inspiration. But the app is where the daily practicality lives. Second, on YouTube, you have the Whole Food Plant Based Cooking Show. I like these resources because they consistently avoid processed sugar, they avoid excess meats, other animal products, and refined grains without making you feel like you're being punished for eating. Now, I'm genuinely excited about what's coming up next. Tonight, you're going to leave with a much clearer understanding of what a health coach actually does and why they can be priceless on your journey. I dedicated an entire chapter in my book, Fearless Wellness, to this topic because knowledge is powerful, but support and guidance is often the missing ingredient. You'll hear first from Phyllis Leon, who will help bring that role to life in a very practical way. She'll be followed by Deepa Deshmukh, our registered dietitian, who will feed us, not literally, but intellectually, with clarity around balanced food choices and essential roles dietitians play in building sustainable nutritional health. So, everyone, take a deep breath. You're not behind, you're building. And this week, you're doing it one plant at a time. Okay, Chanel?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Thompson. All right. So, our first speaker, Phyllis Leon. She's a certified plant based and woman centered transformational coach who helps people heal at the root of chronic illness, starting with the heart health. A former high stress tech executive who reversed her own high blood pressure and now lives vibrant, med free, and purpose filled. Phyllis developed a signature HOPE framework. Heal at the root, own your power, partner with your plate, and embody wholeness to guide others to do the same. You don't gotta live like that. Without further ado, Miss Phyllis Leon.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Chanel. Good evening, everyone. I am really glad you are here and that you chose to continue this journey of loving your heart and living your best. In our session last week, Dr. Fareed shared powerful insights about how food impacts cardiovascular health. Tonight, my role is different. I'm here to talk about how you build routines that last and the value of a coach-supported health journey. And I want to start by naming something that I see all the time. So many people live with this quiet frustration. It often sounds like this: I know what to do, I just can't seem to do it consistently, and I don't know why. If that feels familiar, I want you to know something right away, right at the start of this presentation. There is a name for this experience. It's called the knowing doing gap. And for years, that gap is exactly where I lived. How many of you can relate to knowing what supports your health, but you're struggling to do it consistently? Here's the good news. The moment something can be named, it stops being a personal failure. And what can be named can be addressed. So let's dive into my story. At the peak of my career, my life looked like a success story. I was a senior technology officer at a major multinational financial institution. High responsibility, high pressure, high performance. And that's when I was diagnosed with high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Those were my 2 heart health risk factors. I was told it was genetic. that I'd be on medication for life. I didn't argue. I didn't question it. I assumed it was stress, aging, or just how things go. And by that time, I had already watched generations of people I loved lose energy, accumulate medications, and slowly feel hopeless over time. So when my own symptoms crept in, a quiet question surfaced. Am I next? Am I next? Next for a heart attack, a stroke, decline? That question changed everything because I realized something deeply uncomfortable and deeply important. I couldn't create a new future with the same old mindset that got me here. And I couldn't break a generational cycle of decline by following the same old playbook that we have seen played out in our families for years. So I did what I knew how to do. I gathered insight through books, documentaries, workshops, the websites, wherever I could get insight, I got it. And at one point, I recall that I had like nearly 20 books on nutrition spread across my floor. So I wasn't uninformed. I knew a lot. But here's what I didn't yet understand. I was trying to change what I ate without changing how I thought, without changing my routines, and without support. I had insight, but I had no way to turn that insight into aligned action. And that's where I got stuck. And it might also be where you are getting stuck. And so there's this place of stuckness that most health models never talk about. I call it the invisible middle. It's the space between what you know to do and what you actually do consistently. And when this space isn't understood, people misinterpret its meaning. They assume the problem is them. They assume it's a lack of discipline. They assume it's a lack of motivation. And worse, they assume it's personal failure. But it's not. It's something else entirely different. It's the knowing doing gap. And here's an analogy most of us recognize immediately. We all get notifications on our phones. We have iPhones, we have Androids, right? And these phones are always being updated. An update is available. We recognize that message. You don't panic. You don't think, what's wrong with my phone? You understand this. The phone still works. It's just not optimized for what it's being asked to do at this time. So we update. Now, before this chapter of my life, I had spent decades working in technology. There's one thing that's always true in any system. Insight does not execute itself. A system needs an updated operating system for new demands to run smoothly. You and I need functioning operating systems. So in simple terms, an operating system is what determines what runs automatically, what gets overridden, and what shuts down under pressure. Our health is no different. And just like our phones, if we never restart the system, the update never fully takes effect. So Insight can show you what to do, but it doesn't automatically translate into sustainable routines, especially during busy weeks, family gatherings, travel, or stress. At the time, like I said earlier, I had lots of insight. What I didn't have was a way to live it. That wasn't a character flaw. And I want to extend this invite to you. It's not a character flaw. It's a systems issue. My operating system was simply running old code. And here's why that matters. Our deepest beliefs don't just influence our choices. they govern them. They act like internal operating systems, quietly determining what feels safe, what feels sustainable, or even possible. My old operating system was shaped by two primary patterns: perfectionism and all or nothing thinking. Perfectionism set impossible standards that I couldn't meet. And then when I couldn't meet them, I was discouraged and I had self doubt. All or nothing thinking told me if I couldn't do it perfectly, it wasn't worth doing at all. So the moment life interrupted, I did not adapt. I just abandoned. That was all I knew to do. It wasn't because I didn't care, but because my operating system didn't know how to operate any other way. Here's the part we don't usually name. Not because it isn't real, but because it's very subtle and because it is deeply personal. For me, the knowing doing gap didn't feel like failure. It actually felt like tension. Tension between the health I wanted to create and what my daily behaviors kept reflecting back. I knew what to do. I cared deeply. I had good intentions. And yet, under pressure, when perfectionism and all or nothing thinking took over, my operating system defaulted. What did it default to? It defaulted to what I knew, the tactics that I knew: delay, rationalization, starting over, a quiet return to what felt and tasted familiar. So, this is how outdated operating systems work. They don't stop you with resistance. What they do is they pull you back with familiarity, with what feels easy, what doesn't draw attention, even when it isn't what you truly want. Because here's the truth: good intentions don't survive stress without structural support. And part of me wanted change, and part of me wanted comfort, right? There's that conflict. And so, to keep things easy, to not stand out, I stayed in the middle. And this is where the real cost appears. Because when we stay in the middle, time becomes the factor. Time lost restarting, time lost negotiating and renegotiating with yourself, time spent managing symptoms instead of building the healthy life that you yearn for. That's the cost no one warns us about. It's not lack of knowledge, not a lack of willpower, but that invisible friction between an old identity built for survival and the new self that is trying to emerge at this point in time. And that friction quietly repeats the same loop and is costing us time that we never get back. Here's what finally became clear to me: sustainable change isn't about trying harder. It's about turning insight into aligned action. In other words, it's about closing the knowing doing gap. And when I looked at what actually helped people close that gap, not just for me, but for the women that I coach, I saw the same three elements show up every time. First element: self-concept alignment. How you see yourself determines what behaviors feel natural and what feels exhausting. When actions don't match identity, everything feels like effort. But when behavior aligns with who you believe you are, consistency stops being a fight. Instead of "I'm trying to eat better," it becomes "I'm someone who eats to protect my heart." Second element: routines. Without routines, every choice becomes a debate. And when every choice costs energy, consistency collapses. Routines help us because they remove daily decision making. And I think I saw somewhere in the course of a day, I don't know, we make like thousands and thousands of decisions. You don't wake up wondering what to eat. Breakfast is already decided. Dr. Thompson shared with us last week, his primary breakfast is oatmeal and fruits, right? So he's got a routine. You don't walk into the grocery store hoping to be good, right? We're headed for trouble if we're hoping to be good when we get into the grocery store. Your list is already available. You have it with you, and it has items on it that supports your heart health. When it's time to cook, Your kitchen is already stocked to back you up. You're no longer relying on willpower. You're relying on structure. And so the third element is support. And this is the piece most people try to skip, support, because change is fragile. And when we're going through change, it is a very tender, challenging time before that change becomes familiar. And so support creates a new circle of normal. While you're becoming someone that's adopting a new way of life, it shortens the learning curve, it reduces second guessing, and it keeps you connected instead of isolated. Not to be told what to do, but to be understood while you grow. And so together, those three things, your self-concept alignment, routines, and support are what turns insight into aligned action. They don't just help you start, they help you stay. And that's what makes heart healthy change sustainable in real life. So when I use the phrase a coach supported health journey, this is what I mean. It's not motivation. It's not accountability in the superficial sense. And it's not someone telling you what to do or trying to fix you. A coach supported health journey is a collaborative partnership designed to close the knowing doing gap. It exists to help clients turn insight, everything that you are learning, into aligned action. And you continue practicing that action long enough for evidence-based health to become a lived experience. And so in my practice, the coach supported journey shifts clients from hopelessness to what I now call hope. H, heal at the root. Because the hidden barriers, the old operating system, is finally named and addressed. O, own your power. Because you stop outsourcing your health and start trusting your ability to make aligned choices. P, partner with your plate, not through restriction or perfection, but through routines and structures that support real life. And E, embrace wholeness, where health stops being something you manage and becomes something that you embody. And this is why coaching doesn't replace medical care provided by your doctor. Coaching does not replace nutrition expertise provided by the dietitian. Coaching works with those practitioners by protecting follow-through in the space where most people struggle and get stuck. So coaching helps you get unstuck. A coach-supported journey exists to identify and remove the hidden barriers that live inside the knowing-doing gap. So insight can become aligned action, and evidence-based health can finally become the lived experience. So as we close tonight, I want to reflect something back to you. The brilliance I see in this room isn't that you're trying harder. It's that you showed up for insight, for your heart, for your future, and for your life. And the opportunity ahead isn't to gather more and more and more and more and more information that you're not using. It's to turn the insight you're gaining into aligned action long enough for evidence-based health to become your lived experience. If you've been blaming yourself up until now, you can stop. What you've been experiencing has a name. And when something can be named, it can be addressed. Not by trying harder, not by doing it alone, but by creating a pathway that actually supports who you're becoming. So why does this matter in your life? When you wake up tomorrow, why will all of this matter? Because everything we talked about tonight comes down to this. When the invisible middle is named, when hope is restored, you get something that many people quietly lose: choice. The ability to choose in alignment with what actually matters to you, not from fear, not from confusion, but from clarity. That's where real health begins, with empowered choice. And I encourage you to prioritize what matters through empowered choices. I want to thank you, Dr. Thompson, and the team for the opportunity to share with everyone tonight. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you, Phyllis. What an awesome presentation. I have a whole new perspective now on the word hope. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Prioritizing what matters also was something that you brought to our attention, and we have the power to choose. So it's very important that you choose the right thing. So continue to hope, continue to prioritize what matters. So now we're going to our next speaker, and that would be Deepa Deshmukh. Deepa is an award-winning dietitian, nationally recognized speaker, clinician, and educator, known for her innovative approach to culturally adapted, evidence-based nutrition care. With nearly 2 decades of experience, she has empowered hundreds of individuals to reverse, reduce, and manage chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, and digestive disorders through lifestyle strategies that celebrate cultural traditions and real world application. She leads a culturally inclusive culinary nutrition initiative to promote health equity and has developed culinary medicine curricula that blends ethnic ingredients, globally inspired flavoring, and traditional cooking techniques to create culturally tailored approaches to chronic disease management. DICPA continues to collaborate with healthcare systems, community organizations, and faith based groups, bridging compassion, culture, and science to make nutrition as medicine accessible to all. Can I now bring to you Miss Deepa?
Thank you, Chanel, for that very generous introduction. And
Yes.
thank you all for being here today. You all could be doing variety of things, but you chose to show up because you have decided to what I called as put the oxygen mask on yourself first, because there is not a single person here who doesn't want to do more for themselves or for the community, for their family, for their uh, you know get a promotion in their job, help their neighbor, what have yous, or to be more active. But many times they are not able to do it because of pain, because of lack of energy. They feel they are just not motivated. And but as Phyllis elaborated, that it could be that you have not made yourself a priority. In order for us to help others, in order to achieve something, we first have to put the mask on our face first, get the oxygen, get the nutrients, get the mindset up and running, and then world opens up for you. So being a dietitian, what I practice, or what I have been practicing, especially as a lifestyle medicine focused practitioner, which allows me to put multiple different hats. The core skill set, or the training, if you may, is for medical nutrition therapy. So there is a clinical piece, there is nutrition, and then there is therapy piece. At the end of the day, the way it works out with patients who contact me for diabetes, heart disease, cholesterol, a lot of pain, fibromyalgia, autoimmune conditions, digestive health issues, my job is to be an investigator. Okay, so I go in, I listen, I look and I listen. And what we do is called as lifestyle assessment, which allows me to go beyond the piece of referral that they have brought to the table, which is, oh, I have diabetes. No, you don't have diabetes. Under that diagnosis of diabetes, there are layers of signs and symptoms. Diabetes is just the label that we need in the medical system to follow through the ICD-9 codes and billing and insurance and all that. But below that, what I am trying to understand is, how is your energy? Do you wake up refreshed? How is your sleep? Do you crave for anything? How are your bowel movements? Do you feel hungry? Do you have mental fog? Are you able to focus? Are you able to remember? Uh, how often do you get headaches? You mentioned of a headache in your form. So because each of that symptom is in my mind indicating to me, if this is a house, where is the fire? Okay, and when I have 3 or 4 symptoms start to appear in the conversation, by the end of that 20-30 minutes of assessment, I know if there is fire only in one room, is it in the basement, or if the whole house is on fire. Okay, and right now the way the state of the health is for our communities, it's not only our house is on fire, our neighbor's house is also on fire. We have a systemic problem. Okay, you turn left, somebody is sick. You look straight, somebody is sick. You look in the house, somebody is sick. You look right, somebody is sick. There is more sickness than wellness. And you see people, oh, they are functioning, and they're wearing fancy clothes, and they're on Facebook, and they're on Instagram, they're doing their things. You pull them back and you ask them these questions, you will see that their house has been on fire. So now the question is, now you understand that you have all these symptoms. Are you just going to sit in the lawn looking at the house and say, oh, let me finish my coffee, and then, I will throw a glass of water at the house, and somehow the fire is going to go away? Or are you going to call 911 and get the firefighters and all the help you need to address that? And that's the question we want to put it out there. And the 911 crew is going to be all of us here together. And it's not only we as presenters I'm talking about, but each one of you. And that's the beauty of community-based interventions, we call it. That's the beauty of working with a coach, a doctor, a dietitian, a cardiologist, ophthalmologist, all this. Because remember, the house is on fire. And again, not only our house, somebody else's house. I work a lot with families. Sometimes, even as a clinician, after doing this for 20 years, I feel a little overwhelmed. Should I address the child's problem first? Should I address her husband's problem first? Should I address her problem first? Because there's so many things going on. But the way we address that is, who is ready? Who is going to make that 911 call? Who is ready to put the oxygen mask on their nose? That's the person we need to start working with. So I know that there has been conversation in the last presentation, and what Dr. Thompson has been saying about the importance of adding foods to your new routines, like Phyllis was saying, how important it is to start to have new routines. I usually have a concept called my smart plate planner. Okay, and the idea is that our plate is never just food. We always say, oh, I have too much on my plate. What does that mean? It's not only food, but it's also the work-life balance. So when you start making changes, when you are going to start looking at these routines, when you start going to start adding more things that are going to make that your plate of life little more manageable. Because once you start adding things, right things on your plate, your work life balance, you're going to sleep better, you're going to wake up with more energy, you are going to have more mental stamina, you will be able to cope more, you will be able to stay awake more, you won't be you will walk faster. These are all the silent but extremely important benefits of eating right kind of foods. So to illustrate that, what our plate looks like and what some of the foods that you have eaten in last 1 week. So on this plate we have variety of groups, food groups. There are different vegetables, okra and green beans and cauliflower and broccoli. Then you have your fruits, berries. You can do some seasonal fruits like kiwi and orange. Then we have our beans and lentils, which are part of your protein and iron. We have some whole carbohydrates, corn, brown rice, sprouted grain bread, and then you have your satiated carbohydrates, satiated starches such as potato, sweet potato, and all different kinds of potatoes. And you can get your healthy fats from a little bit of some nuts. And when I say some nuts, I'm not talking about sitting with a bag of planter's nut. I'm talking about literally 1 to 2 almonds or a couple tablespoons of flax seeds, or just 1/4 of an avocado. So why does this plate matters? Why is this called a smart plate planner? Because every food group in here is calorically low. It's low in fat, but it's very high in fiber. It's extremely rich of all kinds of probiotic and prebiotic type of fiber. It is rich in protein. It is high in carbohydrates. It gives you polyphenols, antioxidants. This is it. So the more you start to add foods from this plate to your existing diet, the better, the smarter, the faster you are going to be. Now the question is how much to eat, or do I need to count calories? No, you don't. Because when you eat foods which is high in fiber and high also in contains water, these are not your dried foods, these are real foods with real water in it. It's going to satiate you, because there is a difference between eating and nourishing. Okay, and after you nourish yourself with foods like these, your cravings are gone, you are going to have more energy, and it's just going to make you feel good about yourself. And without really making a conscious effort, it's just going to start changing your taste buds, so you are not going to be craving the junk food or the foods that are not good for you. So if you just start focusing on transitioning to the smart plate, what's going to happen is you will start losing fat in your system. Okay, and you will start losing small amount of fat every day, because fiber is like a garbage man which takes the fiber which takes the fat from your system out. Because everybody here, I'm sure, wants to lose fat. So doesn't it make sense not to eat fat as much? So that's step number 1. So as you start to lose small amount of fat, you will not see it on your weighing scale. So don't get obsessed about weighing yourself every 1 day or every 2 days, because fat loss happens over a period of time. But look what happens at the end of the month, or 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or sometime even 2 weeks, depending on how smart your plate is, you will lose at least 1 pound of fat. People sometimes say, "Oh, I worked so hard and I just lost 1 pound of fat, 1 pound of weight." I said, don't underestimate the power of pound. The more pounds of vegetables and beans and lentils you eat, more pounds of fat you are going to lose. And 1 pound of weight is 4 sticks of butter. So don't feel bad with the slow weight loss if there is any. Okay, understand that 1 pound of real weight loss is 1 pound of fat. And this is the fat which is going to be extremely detrimental to your health. So as the fat starts to go out of your system, your insulin resistance is going to improve, which means your blood sugars are going to improve, your cholesterol is going to go down, your estrogen levels are going to get regulated, your sex hormones are going to get regulated, you are going to lose weight, your pain is going to go down, and that fire is going to start coming down. So that's kind of my high level message on where you all can start, and how important and how appreciative we are for you guys to show up today and take the lessons that are being shared. So thank you.
Thank you, Deepa. We really, really appreciate that. Was awesome to know that 1 pound is 4 sticks of butter. I have to change my perspective and my thought on how I'm eating because I got to stay slim and trim. Okay.
Yes.
So thank you
That's
again. Thank
and
you.
also let me tell you, when
Uh-huh.
people say, "Oh, on this diet somebody lost 4 pounds in 1 week and X amount of pounds in short amount of time," that is all water weight. Okay, because the
Mhm.
fat weight doesn't happen overnight. We don't gain weight that fast after eating fatty food, overnight. When we go out to eat, next day when people jump on that weighing scale and they say, "Oh, my weight went up by 2 pounds," that is inflammation, and that is sodium.
Mm,
Okay, so fat weight happens gradually, so it's going to come down gradually, but that doesn't mean it is slowly. That doesn't mean the weight loss is slow, because losing 1 pound of fat off of your body, you will feel it. It's just that people get so fixated on the weight number because everything is about numbers, numbers, numbers. And I tell people, don't look at your weight, look at your plate.
mm,
What is the weighing machine is going to do if you're not paying attention to your plate?
right.
But if you start looking at your plate, if you start making your plate that's per the smart plate planner that I told you, the weight is going to come off. You won't even have to climb on the weighing scale.
Well, thank you again. Don't look at my weight, look at my plate. I'm gonna get a t-shirt made with that, okay? All right, thank you again. All right, again, we want to thank our sponsors, Chicago Urban League, and we also want to remind you guys that we do a Q&A on Sunday from 4 p.m. I think it's 4 or 5, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Get my times mixed up. Right now, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Thompson. And if you all have any questions that you want to get answered, put them in our chat while Dr. Thompson is talking for a moment or two, and we'll try to get through some of those.
Well, thank you, Chanel, and thank you, Phyllis and Deepa, for excellent presentations. I'm sure people are going to leave here a lot more knowledgeable than when we started. The hour is very short, and we generally like to celebrate that we provide adequate time for question and answer. So we'll go over a little bit to answer some questions, but also remember that's why we have our Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Time Zoom question and answer period, where it's just question and answers. Anything you might have thought about on the way, virtually on the way home, away from your computer or phone, write it down so that we can knock it out. We had over 20 people last Sunday, and they had some great questions. We had a good time. It's more intimate. And so feel free to join us on Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Time on Zoom. We generally, for those who are registered, send out the information, the link. So again, thank you, and I'll pass the baton actually to our CEO and founder of Healthy Living with a Vision Foundation, Dr. Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. And I have to, I'm not going to take much time. I just want to reiterate our gratitude for everybody that's taking the time out of their schedule to be on this. The fact that you are online right now means that you want to do better. You want to live your fullest life in good health. So we appreciate that. It's a blessing. And that's what we want to do collectively. We talked about being a part of the community, and that's what we seek to do. And one thing I would like everyone to consider, if this information is useful to you, click on our website, make a donation, a one-time donation. Anything that you give is helpful, or be a monthly donor to Healthy Living with a Vision. And Dr. Battle put that in our chat, our website, healthylivingwithavision.org. A lot of what you're going to hear tonight, we will be able to put out because of your donations, a video, and that people can reference to. We did a excerpt from last week. We'll do it this week. So just little snippets so people can take away. And so my takeaway from this is, again, from Deepa, thank you for your smart plate. And will start losing fat in your system after a while. And again, don't underestimate the power of the pound, and don't look at your weight. Look at your plate. And for Phyllis, we love the acronym HOPE, heal at the root, own your power, partner with your plate, and embody wholeness. So thank you all. And I'm going to turn this back over to Dr. Thompson. And I want to thank Dr. Thompson for his concept, his book, Fearless Wellness, in which a lot of this is based upon. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
This is to our speakers. Can you help develop a fabulous 15 list for those who weren't able to make it last week and need help with shopping?
Yes, go to the grocery store, stay in the produce section, pick up any fruit, vegetable, root vegetable, greens. Go by the rainbow concept. Different colors of fruits, vegetables, potatoes, sweet potatoes, all kinds of greens. That's one aisle you want to be. Then close your eyes. Pass by the drinks and the junk and the cookies section, and or ask somebody in the produce section to tell you exactly where to find beans, lentils, brown rice, and all that. Walk in that section, get some canned beans, dried beans, brown rice, and get the hell out of that store as fast as you can. And do not go to the grocery store hungry. And then I'm sure your cabinets have some basic herbs and spices or vinegar and lemons and things like that. And just start making simple things, oatmeal. Make a chili without meat this time. Do a stir fry with some rice and vegetables. And that's pretty much it. Everything on that plate is from your local grocery store and contains beans, root vegetables like potatoes, sweet potatoes, fruits. You can even get frozen vegetables and some whole grains.
And if I can add to that, Deepa,
Yeah.
I would encourage and invite each of the participants here tonight, when you're going to the grocery store, bring a level of curiosity. And if you're following Deepa's instructions, then you bring curiosity to it. It's not about making a meal that's perfect. It's just about making progress, one step at a time. And to Dr. Thompson's point, right, you are adding a new vegetable to your plate. And so this is how, step by step, you make that journey.
And again, don't get fixated on the numbers of any kind. The 15 items list is a guideline. Okay? Even if you have one or two, the process doesn't need to stop, like Phyllis said.
Very
Thank
good.
you for that. All right, and then I have one more question here. What foods are best on your plate to improve your cholesterol levels? Does cholesterol supplements help as opposed to statins?
So, first of all, the foods that are going to be helpful for cholesterol are foods rich in fiber. All fiber is in plant-based foods. So it's again going back to the same thing on the smart plate. Beans and lentils being at the top for fiber, followed by whole grains. But let's not underestimate the power of vegetables. So it's really hard to know. But if you eat more plants, it's going to help you lower your cholesterol. And again, cholesterol is a fat molecule. Where does fat comes from? More fat comes from all the animal products and oils and margarines. So if you start eliminating those, your cholesterol is going to come down. And as far as the statin and the supplement is concerned, it is a very clinical question without knowing the history, the numbers, the trends. It's hard, statins and supplements, they don't exactly fall in the same under the same umbrella, but that's a medical decision that is made after looking at many other things along with your diet.
Well, I agree with what Deepa said. I think cholesterol lowering occurs with the more fiber you eat, actually. And 97% of the people in this country are deficient in fiber. We should be eating 30, above 30 grams, and average person that eats the standard American diet is eating about 15 grams of fiber. So there's very little of that sweeping action that Deepa mentioned that fiber has in taking out excess cholesterol, excess sugar, even some toxins. So fiber is crucial. And with that plate Deepa showed, that's a cholesterol lowering plate. But you don't have to have those exact foods. You can pick what you like. You can explore, like Phyllis said. All plants have fiber. They don't have, they're not deficient in fiber like animal products, and they don't have saturated fat like animal products. And so you really are going to have a lower cholesterol plate by just filling it with plants.
There is a very good question, which is this scares me a lot. I'm 67 and have always ate meats and dairy.
Let me start out with the mindset piece
Yeah.
first. And what I'd like to offer there is we live in a culture where we have connection to family memories, to family situations, to celebrations, birthdays, right? All centered around food. And as we are growing up, we get connected to those foods, not just from a physical, biological perspective, but also an emotional, a deeply emotional and spiritual perspective. And so that's why food is such a challenging topic because it's so multi-layered. And so what I would share with that is that understanding that there's a cultural component to it, and that just like what I shared, the analogy with the phone, right? We have the opportunity to do an upgrade to our operating systems. So we have been operating under the old systems. Our grandmother used to fix us whatever she prepared, and our aunties used to prepare all of this stuff. And maybe at one point it did not affect your body. Maybe at one point, as far as you were able to see visually, there was no impact. But health is an accumulated effect. And so over time, the accumulated impact of those foods is what you are starting to see now in your 60s. So we were eating that stuff when we were 10 and 12 and 15 and 20 and 25. And the thing about our bodies, they're so wonderfully designed that it takes time, it takes years for us to see the accumulative effect of some of the deceitful foods we have been eating. So that would be my share, is that just as for our phones, we occasionally have to do an operating system upgrade, emotionally, physically, mindset perspective, we also have the opportunity to do a mindset upgrade.
100% Phyllis. Extremely well said. And my take on that would be, uh, to this person would be, take a piece of paper and pencil and write down that are you having any kind of health issues, and it doesn't have to be a full blown diagnosis, but like I said, evaluate yourself on pain, on hair loss, skin issues, energy levels, all these little signs and symptoms. And also write down, is there anything you wish you could do and you are not able to do, that you feel is rooted in your lifestyle? And if the answer is yes, then the next question would be, then if your existing choices, food choices, are not taking you or have led you to this point where maybe you have blood pressure, maybe your cholesterol is going up, maybe you have pain, maybe you are not able to sleep, maybe you are losing hair, maybe you are having skin issues, maybe there is autoimmune condition, maybe your thyroid, then does it make sense to continue to doing the same thing? Are you willing to have an open mind and look at another pill in your pill box? That's all.
Very,
Bit of a soul searching is required. Reflection is sometimes is required to overcome our fears.
very well said. Couldn't agree more with both of you. And I'll just harken back to the theme of these 4 Tuesdays. Love your heart, live your best. And the way this aligns with that question is that meat and dairy are the highest sources of saturated fat. They have the greatest influence on clogging up the arteries. So even if you're not experiencing symptoms right now, if that's the way you've been eating and are eating, you are setting yourself up for the number one killer of men and women in this country and many places around the world: heart disease. Every 34 seconds, someone's having a heart attack or some type of cardiovascular event. So we're about reducing risks. And remember, let's not focus on what you can't have. Remember, these first 2 weeks, we're focusing on what you should have. So let's crowd that plate. Let's crowd out some of the meat and stuff with those wonderful, life-saving, life-elongating veggies that have fiber, that takes away excess fat, that helps you to be healthier and your heart to be healthier. I mean, we really um, need to love our heart like it's like our life depends on it, right? Because
Mhm.
our life does. So, and the nice thing about it is we're helping other organs along the way. You're reducing your risk for dementia, diabetes, cancer by eating less of those other foods, by eating more plants. Thanks.
Mhm. All right. So mark your calendars. February 3rd, which is next Tuesday, we're going to have Dr. Danish Atwal, a board certified cardiologist, that's going to talk to you all and give you some good information and resources on loving your heart and living your best. On Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, and the Sundays after each of the Tuesday meeting. From 4 to 5, we'll have a Q&A session that is dedicated just to these questions that you have and want to get answered. There are a few more in here, like two more. I can do those real quick if
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
like.
Chef Dom had a question there
Okay,
about, I think,
let me go in
somewhere
there and
here.
see it real
Yeah,
quick.
it was towards the end here. Let's
I
see.
think it's about the dry fruit. How does
Yes,
the
that's what it
panel?
is, about dried food. So
Yeah.
what do you think about people that say, okay,
Oh,
you know,
yeah, I see it.
I really like dried fruit. What's the upside and downside of eating dry food? Fruit.
Um, the upside is that you have a choice to choose between candy and something better, which is the dry fruit. So you have your advantage there, but make sure that it doesn't have added sugar and added oil. You won't believe how much sugar is added to food and how much oil they add to foods that which it just doesn't make sense. Why would dried cranberries have sunflower seed oil? Well, that's the state of food industry that we are living in. But if you have a choice between the dried fruit and fresh fruit, completely different ball game in terms of calories. Fresh fruit, for 1 pound, if you eat 1 pound of fresh fruit, you get only 300 calories. If you eat 1 pound of dry fruit, which is not that much, just 2 cups, that one little bag that we get from the grocery store, is approximately 1600 calories per pound. So, bite to bite, you have more concentrated calories from dried fruit. I guess the question here is freeze dried fruit. Same thing, the water is pretty much gone. So, and you're more likely to eat freeze dried fruit because it's very light and airy like popcorn. So, I would watch out. But again, like I said, it's better than eating ice cream or candy or some highly processed bar. There is one more question. It talks about how much carbs a day for diabetic patient. If there is one take home message, that if there are any diabetics in this class who want to take home, is first of all, diabetes does not cause because of the carbohydrates. It has its roots in fat. I can talk for 2 hours about how that process works. But in nutshell, if your diet is high in fat and low in fiber, again, your cells are going to be filled with that fat. So when the carbohydrate come to get inside the cells, the cell is full. It's going to tell your carbohydrate molecule, hey, go home, there is no room for it. And that's when you see the high numbers, not because of the carbohydrate, but because the wrong tenant has gotten into the space where the carbohydrate should have gone. So as you start cutting down on fat and as you start eating high fiber carbohydrate, your numbers will come down. That's the very high level explanation of that question.
Thank you for that, Deepa. That's very important information that we can expand on at the Q&A on
Yeah.
Sunday. Dr. Zarif, did I hear you trying to get
Yes,
on? Dr. Zarif spoke last week, and I'd also recognize Dr. Donish Atwell was on. I don't know if she's still on, but she was in attendance today and last week's, and she will be our featured speaker next week, a board certified cardiologist. So thank you, Dr. Atwell. But go ahead, Dr. Zarif.
yeah, I just, I couldn't resist in adding something to it. I had to participate, of course. And you see, I have Carolyn Gentle up there. That's my assistant. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure it's one very important thing we can add to all this wonderful knowledge, and that is the beginning. There's an exordium. That's the beginning to all of the things that we're talking about, and that is to make sure you know where you are. We always talk about meet a person where they are. Well, meeting a person where they are includes that person understanding what is, the significance of less than 120/80, the significance of their glucose levels, the significance of hemoglobin A1C. All of those things are very important to find out where you are so you will know, where to guide yourself to. What are your strategies and what are your goals? The other thing that I would like to add to it is also you cannot do this by yourself. I know some of you think you can. I know you think that, no, I got this, I did it before and all that. Well, that's great. But this time, see if you can take someone with you to have that support. Surround yourself with some very vibrous people that love to see you win, people that love to see that you're going for a certain goal, and talk about it. Also have the same strength to stay away from or disallow any type of derogatory or negative energy around you. Not to become paranoid, but it's just a very important ingredient or component to have whenever you're reaching for any goal. you want to have the right kind of team, the right kind of support. So I just wanted to share that. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Zarif. Excellent, excellent advice and right on par because we're talking about a health coach here who helps to support and give guidance and a dietitian, a registered dietitian. So right on par and right on par for next week. And a lot of these metrics we're talking about will be addressed by our board certified cardiologist, Dr. Atwell. So we're about 15 past the hour. Chanel, I will pass it to you to wrap this up. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Again, thank you guys for getting on this wonderful, wonderful presentation. We got a lot of resources and good information. And you know what? We have to start living in that truth. So make sure that you go back and think about hope. Think about changing your life, living a healthy lifestyle, because it's not hard. Like we learned, it's a choice. So this Sunday, we're going to have a Q&A session from 4 to 5. And then on next Tuesday, we're going to have our third portion of our healthy kick plant-based eating. So get some rest, work out, drink your water, and eat off of that plate with all of those good vegetables and nuts and fiber because you won't go wrong. Have a good evening, everyone. Be blessed.
Please hit our website up, consider a donation. That's my job to make sure we can keep this going, not only keep it going, but expand it. If it's $5 a month, we'll take it. If it's $10 a month, we'll take it at a one-time donation. So please hit up our website.
Real quick, I was going to add. I asked about those freeze dried fruits.
Yeah.
I found these right here. It's
From,
mango.
yeah,
Yeah.
mangosteen.
Oh,
Yeah,
mangosteen. Okay.
mangosteen.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't have any added anything, and so for me, I have to look out for sulfur. So that's why I really don't do the
Oh,
dried fruits because
okay.
they have
Lot
they
of
always add
sulfate.
sulfur, but
Sulfites. Yeah.
sulfites. But these are
Mm,
there's no sulfur added, no additional sugar,
mm,
no oil is
good.
but the freeze dried thing is something new to me.
Yeah.
Because I have
It's
those. I found these freeze dried cherries
mm,
and you know, again, unsweetened, no
correct.
sulfur, nothing like that. So it's kind of good for me. Like if I'm moving around, I just need to, snack on something,
Yeah.
in between meals. But, just wanted to get a little information, from the panel
So
about that.
it's a food preservation technique. You
Right.
know, it's a freeze dried the way it sucks and sucks all the moisture from it under the in below zero conditions.
Right.
So I mean, like I said, it's a better choice than candy or something else, but fresh fruit is going to
Always
have
better.
it's always better. But
100%. 100%.
this is
Yeah.
I mean this is fine. I mean it's a those packets are pricey though, right? The small little one is like $3, $4. I've tried it at
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was on sale. It was normally
Mm.
$6 and it was
Yeah.
three. So let me try it now while it's
Oh,
three.
yeah, see, now it is $6. Wow. And it's
Yeah.
Well,
not,
he's in California. He is in California now. So
oh, then it's,
where I am, everything's higher in California.
that's
Uh,
true.
but the way you eat, now see, Deepa, I know Chef Dom and I know he eats healthy. So
Mm.
some of this is circumstantial with some
Yeah,
of these dried fruits and stuff because someone that's pre-diabetic, which is like 70% of Americans,
I know.
Right.
they may not want to put their stock in eating those as snacks
Correct.
because they're
Right.
pre-diabetic and it may actually give them an insulin spike.
That's
But
true.
someone that's eating, 40 or more grams of fiber, like myself, Chef Dom,
Mm.
that's probably a reasonable snack. You're not gonna eat a whole bags at a time, but that's probably a very reasonable snack if you don't want to carry some heavy fruit or whatever.
Sure.
And so,
Yeah,
so
it
there is
also
a
really depends on what else is on your.
exactly,
That's
exactly,
why sometimes it's very hard to answer questions about individual foods because you don't
right,
know where what the
exactly.
overall
Hmm.
lifestyle is. It's never that one food one time is killing anyone,
Yeah,
right? It's the pattern.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I
So,
just got feedback from a cousin of mine. She was like, she really liked Deepa, your show and tell plate, and she felt it really pulled everything into perspective. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to share that with you.
Oh, no, thank you.